in continuation with the same 18th frame, so it is the second part of the same frame, 18th frame. We will discuss some of the areas. They were the problematic areas, or the problems of these areas were not taken care of in the during the reforms period. So it is the problem areas or issues, unaddressed issues, or issues they were not addressed properly. Number one issue is the problem of unemployment. It is a contradictory thing that instead of the positive trends in the GDP, means the GDP of the country was growing. It means the real income of the country was growing, but the employment problem was not solved. The employment generations and the jobs were not there in a ample or sufficient quantity. So the unemployment problem remained the same in spite of the increase in the GDP. So it is a contradictory thing. Number two, decline in the agriculture industry. As we have seen that agriculture industry is the main component of the primary sector. But in the year 2014-15, there was a negative growth in the agriculture sector. So this was again a problem, and it was not addressed properly due to lack of the infrastructure, lack of the other facilities, subsidy related issues, and other things. Then third problem that was also remain a problematic area, that was below the expected performance of industrial sector, which is the mainly secondary sector. In the manufacturing and processing and other industries, we could not done well even after the reforms. One of the major reason was the now the substitution of the policy. Earlier we were protecting our domestic industries, but now with the globalization, liberalization and privatization, the foreign companies, MNCs have come with a much good quality products. So we could not give much attention to the industrial sector, and the expected investment was also not there. So this is also a problematic reason sector. Then fourth is the insufficient development of the infrastructure. For a developing country, what is much important? The important is to develop the infrastructure, the proper roads, bridges, dams, irrigation facilities, and other type of infrastructure development like the markets, malls, storage. So we could not develop a proper infrastructure which was required. So it has also slowed down the rate of economic growth. So this area was also not considered. So it had remained a problematic area in spite of the LPG or the reforms. And the fifth one is the fiscal deficit. When we have liberalized our economy, we have reduced the tariffs, and tariffs was one of the major component for the revenue generation for the government, for the budget. So these things were there. With less tariff rates and many of the items, the tariffs have been totally eliminated or removed. So the government could not generate the revenue which it was generating earlier, before the liberalization and privatization and globalization. So there is naturally one of the important reason for the fiscal deficit, that was the reduction in the tariff or elimination in the tariffs. So these are some areas which were not addressed properly. Number one, the problem of unemployment, decline in agriculture, below the expected performance of the industrial sector, then insufficient development of the infrastructure, and ultimately fifth one, last one, is the fiscal deficit. So with this, these problems were remain after the reforms also.